Hello, YouTube. Been a bit of a delay, but that's just because I've been busy and stuff like that. So this is going to be just a deck theory rather than a deck build, I guess. I got to play it a little bit at a local. I drowned, but I mean, I sort of built the deck in like 10 minutes and then I've optimized it a little bit. So that's why it's still a theory at the moment. So what it is, it's Palman. Came out with the new series. This is your starter, obviously. Draw a card. Pretty self-explanatory. Now, the reason why this is a theory, because it's going to be using the new VR from the new set, which is this fun little dragon here. Now, the way that you sort of build this will be different from the old Power Moon, because I don't think Alice has a lot of synergy with this, even though Alice is still an amazingly great card for the set, really good in premium as well. But for this particular iteration, we're not using Alice, and I'll sort of explain why and go into it. So first and foremost, starter, go with that. Now the sort of just easier things to explain first would be triggers. So standard heals, you need heals. Standard PGs, you need PGs. Like, again, it's sort of like self-explanatory. Now, I've only feel like that this is stronger at the moment, but you can probably tweak it a little bit, or I'm actually thinking of a different ratio. But I'm putting in 8 crits. So, with your finisher having a guard restrict, Sentinel guard restrict, front doesn't really do you much, and because it's a restander as well, I'll explain what the card does in better detail. I feel like crit has more value, because when you restand, you still keep the residual crit from your first trigger checks, so potentially getting like a 27, like a 27 hit with one trigger with crit, and then getting another crit is just really strong. Unexpected. People sort of just try to overthink it and overcomplicate it, or if you're just a really good player, you just play around it. So now grade 1s are a little bit easier to go with first, only just because the grade 1 lineup doesn't really change much from the old series. Midnight Bunny, it's your soul charge engine. It's like your main booster on hit pressure, so going into like your grade 2 or grade 3 turns, this pulls out more cards, more damage. Kind of self-explanatory with that. Probably the best grade 1 in the set itself, outside of like promos and stuff like that. Purple Trapezist. It's your combo extender, and you start your attacks with this. So this brings out key cards when combined with other cards. Just pretty much just you get what you want from your soul. It's like how Powerman works generally anyway. This is your optimal grade 1 target. I don't think it really changes. Starting presenter, as you say, is in the name, starting presenter. Still your optimal grade 1. And then when you ride upon and you get its effect, you get essentially perhaps another grade 2 to work with, even one of your grade 3s. Although not optimal, because a lot of your grade 3s are actually on Vanguard effect, it's not rearguard effect. Well, the ones that I'm running anyway. So, I mean, you still get a 12k beta at grade 2, so it's not the worst thing. And I said beta, it's like a 12k vanilla, even though there are 12k vanillas in the set anyway. Now, this is sort of just a test. I feel like it's to help the early game and also your grade 2 lineup, which I'll be explaining pretty soon, is Fluster Cadet. So, rest it, Soul Charge 1. There's a particular grade 2, which this helps, well, this with the Soul Charge helps a lot, because this particular grade 2 is going to be also your optimal ride target. So pretty stock standard. Going through like all the other level ones, like the Chimera kit from the new set is kind of RNG, because you need everything in your soul essentially, and you have to play one. So I don't feel like that's quite optimal. The sort of like undead looking like doll thing, is okay, but it retires your rear guards, and this doesn't really want to empty out your rear guards so much. You still want to keep it, because if you're winning, I mean, this is the case with all decks anyway, you want to keep your pressure and your momentum, so you don't want to lose tempo by just sacking your cards for a plus. Like a lot of the new cards have to sack 2, which isn't ideal, because you sack 2 to get 1, and I mean, yes, it gives you more extension to your combos, and that's really good with front triggers as well. Actually, no, it's not. Yeah, actually, no, it's not. It's actually bad in hindsight. But again, it's all a theory. I'm just testing this build. I had moderate success in like friendlies, but not in my local, so we'll see how it goes further on. Grade 2. So Grade 2 actually brought a lot of brand new sort of like options for your Grade 2 lineup, because all you would really use was a Jumping Jill, which is still a really solid card. I would still run Jumping Jill. But you've got more options as well. So this is essentially the replacement to Jumping Jill, is Princess of the Night Sky. So this one is one place from hand, CB, SB, and call a card from soul to rear. So it's essentially choose what you want for paying resources, whereas with Jumping Jill, it's when called from soul, grade 1 to card to back row, which isn't really that great, considering that you can only call out a booster, or potentially like some fodder for later on, because if you're versing like the XL matchup, then they want to have to kill your stuff anyway. So, and also when called from soul, it gets 3k, so that's really helpful for grade 3, because obviously there's the other VR that's still really solid, and you'll still run it because it's just a great card overall. So yeah, I would like, this is the new gel essentially. Now, because as we sort of get into it as well, I'll sort of get it out of the way now. Dancing Knife Dancer. So if you've got no face up counterblast, put it into your soul and counter charge at the end of your turn. So this deck, once it reaches grade 2, grade 3, is going to be very counter charge heavy, because a lot of effects actually cost not just 1 counter charge but 2. Counterblast, sorry. So having counter charge tools readily available, and you can protect it by putting this back into the soul and then call it back out, is really strong. I actually really like this one and one of the other cards that we have here. So here we have just a very solid grade 2 as well, Misdirection. So this is essentially saving cards, but also getting back your hand, and also selective soul charging for certain other cards. So one place from hand, counterblast 1, put a grade 1 into your soul. So very important. So ideally, when you do your main ride, you would want to have like that as your main ride. Sorry, I'll move that out of the way. That is your main ride, and then this is behind it. So essentially, you do your thing, blah blah blah, and then obviously you ride that, you get your soul charge or whatever, and then you do that effect, and then you put that inside. So you've already put a lot of cards into your soul, which in sort of like an optimal game, you're never gonna get an optimal game, maybe like once in a while. But when you do, it makes the sort of main grade thing as available. The reason why I put it like as a Vanguard, because it also works Vanguard Rearguard, but this would probably be better on your Vanguard Rearguard, sorry, because on Vanguard you are going to want to use, in theory, Magical Box Streamer. Now this one, it's a bit difficult to sort of like play around, because you have to make sure you don't take too much damage, because its main ability, which will go into your grade 3 turn, is when your opponent's attack hits this unit, so it has to hit, And then a smart player will obviously, you don't want to hit this. So it's kind of like mind games in the sense. Counterblast 2, discard a card from hand, call up to 5 cards from your soul to rear. So in an ideal situation, if you had starting presenter, the soul charger on grade 2, and then you've got any more soul charges from other incremental effects like Wood Bunny and stuff like that, this will get you 5 cards, which is really good. I thought it was a bit weaker in the original sort of Power Moon build, only just because Counterblast 2 is actually really heavy and you need your Counterblast for Alice and for Tamer. But now, because you've got a lot more options with your countercharge, not really, you're still using the old countercharges, this will get you essentially a full field, which if you're controlling the tempo, then that's great. If you're not controlling the tempo, it gets you back into the game, which will sort of dictate how you want to play your grade 3s. Which, going into grade 3, this is still the best card to have, and is probably going to be your main target for the rest of the game. Outside of finishes is Golden Beast Tamer. If you have 5 units on field, front row gets 3k, that includes your Excel circles. When it attacks, call 2 cards from soul. So, still a really solid card. You don't have to attack with this first to get your fronts off for your first main attack. You can attack when you want to, which sort of gives you more options, especially if you needed countercharge for your next sort of like countercharges that I'm going to show you. So this is going to be just a safe grade 3. You don't even need your finisher, especially if you're like so far in the lead. This is still just a really solid card in general. Yeah, the last countercharger, which is still a really solid card, Comically Chimera. So countercharge, just really solid. It's your combo extender when you blast your purple trapezist. Just a great card, 17k attacker, just really solid. Yeah. These ones, well, you've got your finisher, which obviously is going to be a bit more self-explanatory, but this is the main one that I'm sort of testing right now out of the new grade 3s besides the new VR. Counterblast 2, put a rearguard into your soul, retire yourself and your opponent's rearguards, and this gets 5k per rearguard retired. So, in hindsight, it's pretty bad. Because if you've got a full field from Box Streamer, it kills your field for no reason. That's not ideal. Like, even if you get this to insane amounts, like, in an Excel matchup, say each one has 5 each side, so 5 on your side, 5 on their side, so that's 10 cards, 10 by 5,000, that's 50,000. Sure, it's huge, but they can just PG it. I don't think this is what this card's intended for. I think what it's actually meant for is if you're losing and you have this in your hand against Excel, it's anti-Excel, because say you go second, they go first, they already fulfilled themselves, and you're not in a good spot, but you have to open counterblast. You play this, and you kill their board for free, which in most Excel matchups, they're going to be killing your stuff and then killing you. This is a board wipe, which board wipes are pretty strong. I mean, it is a bit heavy on your thing, and you do need to have something in the back row. So when it comes down to some force matchups, Shadow Paladins in particular, and you don't have anything, this kind of becomes a dead card. But for Excel, and even to protect in an extent, this really brings you back, which I think is really good. It's sort of just like, a what if, or like to try gain some tempo back, which in XL, if you don't have the if you don't have the jump on him, you're probably gonna lose anyway. It's pretty hard to come back as XL unless you get really lucky with crits and stuff like that. So I want to see more sort of results from this card before I'm really sold on it. But it's a good comeback mechanic. Board wipes are pretty rare in this game, outside of Exculpate and what's that other one? The Narukami one that attacks everything. So I think it's a really solid card. You wouldn't run more than 2. Because it would be a dead card in most other cases, because again, you don't want to neg your board if you're winning. Like, that makes no sense. And then lastly, finisher. Not the strongest finisher, not one of the strongest like VRs out of the new booster pack, Fireless Deletor booster pack. But again, because you're running crits and you get a restand out of it, if you already triggered a crit before, it still retains that crit. So getting potentially, I don't know, say you double trigger crit before and then you double trigger crit again, that's 5. Like, that's, if they don't have enough for it, then yeah, they're just gonna die. And you would want to attack with a full field to begin with, because you would have 2 XL circles, because this needs to be ridden from grade 3. So that's 5 attacks, 6 attacks including this. So again, just good finisher. So yeah, that's the general gist of it. Obviously, you've got your XL circles. Again, this is just a theory. Any suggestions or any ways that you can fit Alice back into the deck, that'd be greatly appreciated. Any ratios and stuff like that. Grade 2 lineup is a bit strange. That's probably what I'm more sort of going to be working on as I continue and play the deck more. I'll be doing a sort of redux video once I've played this deck more and sort of get more information and see how it works in like more regional or more local sort of settings. But yeah, that's the theory. I've been probably talking too long and probably droning on too long. So yeah, have a good one. Hope you have a good day. Bye.